Hi everybody, it's Matt Carter here from Life Foods. In this video we're going to talk about raw food and what the benefits of eating raw foods are. You don't have to eat completely raw in everything you do, but adding raw foods to your diet is a really good idea. There's some incredible health benefits to raw food. Most people don't understand it. They don't know how to prepare raw food. They don't know what's involved. So I'm going to help you by explaining more about raw food in this video, talk you through the benefits of it, and then some examples of how you can actually start adding in raw food into your diet, because it really does have a massive effect. And the problem with a lot of people's diets these days is it's highly processed and cooked food, and a lot of cooked food isn't that great for you. People don't realize that cooking food does deplete a lot of the goodness out of the food because of heating at high temperatures and etc. And it's not great. So you really want to have raw food in your diet. The more the better, but you know, it's not. I wouldn't expect everyone to be able to go out there and swap to a 100% raw food diet. Pretty hard to do that. I can't say I do that 100% myself. My wife's a lot better than I am, but I do introduce raw food on a daily basis into my diet because it's really, really important. So let's talk about that in this video and give you some ideas on how to do it. So first up, why raw food anyway? Well, raw food, when food's raw, it is in its most natural state, and it's how nature. That's how they're designed. It's how nature's designed the food to be eaten. It's not changed. It's not altered. It's not processed in any way. It's just in its natural state, in the best form it can really be for your body to take it in and get the nutrients out of that food into your body, which we need for our health. So it's biocompatible is another way of putting it with our bodies. It's easy for us to assimilate into our bodies, which makes it easier to digest, which makes it a lot better on your large and small intestine for breaking down and absorbing the nutrients out of the intestine into the body, so you can get the nutrients. It's a lot easier to do that with raw foods. And cooking actually creates new compounds in foods, and most people don't have a clue about this, which our bodies can't always process. So as soon as you cook something, you're altering it. It's not the same food as it was when it's raw. And once you've altered it, that's just when problems can be introduced. It doesn't happen all the time, and it's usually really bad when it's fast cooking, like when you fry something. That's like instant heat, searing something. That definitely changes the structure of the food, and sometimes you can get some bad results with that because you can't always process the new compounds that are created from this high temperature of cooking the food. So some of it can actually add to the toxic load of our body when unable to digest it. So what's actually happening is you end up ingesting a toxin. You end up ingesting toxins from the new compounds you've created from cooking, and over time that builds up. You get what people refer to as toxic load. That means the more and more toxins you're putting in, it builds up over time, and if your body can't get rid of it, that's not good, because then you get too much toxins in your body, and this is when disease can start to create in your body. You do not want that. So let's look at some more points. Cooked food lead our white blood cells to becoming more active. So, which essentially means food is seen as an invader to the body. When you have something that's foreign to the body, and your immune system doesn't recognize it and it sees it as a threat, you get an immune response, and the immune response is noticed by white blood cells increasing. You get increase in white blood cells because the white blood cells are what attacks a foreign body and a foreign enemy or whatever, alien in the body. It attacks it. And you don't. When you see that happening, it's not a good sign. So some cooked food can actually cause that response, which obviously is not great. So raw foods, however, maintain their enzymes. The enzymes are really key. Enzymes are the life force. They allow us to absorb vitamins and minerals, which most people know that you can't live without vitamins and minerals. And when your food is heated over a certain temperature, these enzymes die, and it becomes harder and harder and harder for our bodies to assimilate the nutrition. So that's a problem. If you're not getting the vitamins and the minerals out of the food that you're eating, then over time your body's going to become depleted in these things, and this is when problems start to develop. You can start to develop all sorts of diseases and conditions that you really don't want to be dealing with. But raw food doesn't have this problem with enzymes being damaged, because it maintains its enzymes, which allows you to absorb the vitamins and the minerals a lot more readily. Cooked foods speed up the aging process as they deplete our bodies of enzymes, which I just mentioned, whereas raw foods replenish our enzymes, so obviously it's a good thing. So some more reasons to eat raw food. There's a lot of them. Eating raw foods really it boosts your immune system, helps your body fight off disease if you're in a healthy state with all the nutrition that it needs to rebuild its cells and to function as the immune system. You're helping aid your body do what it does best, which is to stay healthy and robust and fight off disease. If you give the body what it needs, the body's going to be healthy and be really strong, and it's going to give you what you need, and that's a healthy body that's full of energy and not full of sickness. And eating raw foods is going to help you do that. So it's important to get those raw foods in your diet. It can help you detox as well. A lot of the green leafy vegetables that you can eat in a raw form, like celery, other spinach, kale, they can really help you detox. They can be good for the liver and all sorts of things for cleaning the blood. Raw vegetables are fantastic for cleaning the blood and helping detox the body. It can help you lose weight as well, or maintain a healthy weight. Obviously, when you're eating raw foods, more vegetables and fruits, these things are not full of processed food, which is really high in nasty fats that can easily be stored. You don't want that highly processed food can be turned into just fat really easily, and your body just stores it because you usually have an excess of calories when you're eating processed food and you store it as fat. When you eat raw foods, you're not going to have that as easily. It's not full of these high calorie foods that get stored as fat. And it can help lower the risk of cardiovascular disease because you're not filling your body with extra lipids and stuff that can clog up your blood vessels and cause atherosclerosis, which is quite a hard one to say. I've always struggled with that one in my studies. I always had to pronounce it. It's basically clogging up of the arteries. And on high processed foods and fatty foods can clog up your arteries with plaques. It's just plaques building up in the arteries when you have too much processed food, and it clogs up the arteries. Over time, those arteries become hard, not flexible, and they close over, and that's when you can have all sorts of problems like ischemic attacks, heart attacks, and strokes. It can help lower cholesterol as well, and help prevent the risk of diabetes. And you might want to look up Dr. Gabriel Cousens. He did done a lot of research into raw food and the effect on type 2 diabetes, but also type 1, interestingly. Type 1 diabetes is where you're born with it, and your pancreas isn't producing insulin. The islets of Langerhans cells in your pancreas, that is not producing insulin, and obviously you need the insulin to absorb the glucose to get your blood sugar and to keep it at a good normal level, because if you don't get your blood sugar down, it can be quite damaging. The glucose in the blood is quite damaging to organs. Type 1 diabetics are born that way. Type 2 diabetics develop over time by abuse of the pancreatic cells. So over time, if you hammer them too hard and you're flogging them essentially to produce insulin all the time, over time those cells die off and you just can't get the same insulin response. So if you keep doing it, you're eventually going to not be able to control your blood glucose at all, and you have sky-high blood glucose, and then that starts to cause all sorts of problems in your organs. You can have blindness, you can have people get amputations, you can lose. I know people that have, when I used to work in the science field, have amputations below the knee, sometimes double amputations from type 2 diabetes. But type 2 diabetes has got a whole list of problems associated with it, heart failure, all sorts. Anyway, cut a long story short, Dr. Gabriel Cousens, you might want to look into some of his work, but he researched and did studies with groups of people eating raw diets only, all diabetics, type 2, mostly type 2, some type 1, and he got phenomenal results with it. So if you've got type 2 diabetes, or you know somebody that does, or type 1, go and check that out, Gabriel Cousens. There's a video actually online called, I think it's 30 Days Raw. If you go and check that video out, it's pretty fantastic as well about type 2 diabetes, diabetes in general, and raw food. So it's 30 Days Raw, pretty amazing documentary. I thoroughly enjoyed watching that. That'll help you understand raw food really well. I encourage you to check that out. You should find that on YouTube or just Google for it, 30 Days Raw. Okay, common misconceptions. People don't know you can still eat grains and nuts and seeds. You don't have to we're not talking about just sitting around eating celery sticks all day long. That would drive me insane. I think it would drive pretty much everyone insane. You don't have to have really boring, horrible food. It's not just eating a bowl of green salad and, or celery sticks all day and that's it. There is some really tasty meals you can create with raw foods. You can have grains, nuts, seeds, and a whole array of delicious products. Sprouted breads taste great. And they're very nutrient dense. Sprouting bread's different than normal breads that you get, from the standard shop when you go and get bread. That stuff's not fantastic for you in any way. But sprouted grains, fantastic for you, and they're in a raw form. If you can get that sort of stuff into you, you can have some really great, tasty treats that's still in its raw form. And like I said, you don't have to eat raw every meal. I mean, obviously, people who eat more raw, the better it is. But just try and introduce a little bit of raw in your meal. If this is totally foreign to you and you hate the idea of eating anything raw, just add in some raw vegetables to your lunch to start with. Just start in increments and add into it daily, and then you'll find it just progresses like that. And just stay where you're comfortable at. But adding anything raw and vegetables or nuts or these things in is going to be a good thing. So just do what you can, and you'll find you'll get great results with it. You can still heat the foods, but it needs to be under 118 degrees Fahrenheit. I can't remember what that is in Celsius. I should have put it in Celsius. I checked that up by reading a book that I'm reading. My wife and I are reading at the moment. But sorry about that. I didn't put it in Celsius. But you can have a look. But essentially, you can cook it. It's just that it needs to be cooked at low temperatures. You don't want to be heating it too high, because that's when things become denatured and change the structure of it. And you can even eat chocolate and delicious treats as well. We did another video actually on Life Foods where it's how to create chocolate that's good for you, and that's raw food. And the way we make the chocolate here is we use raw cacao powder, raw cacao butter, coconut oil, coconut milk, maca powder, and there's one more. Did I say coconut butter? So cacao butter. I can't remember if I said that or not, but that's how we make our chocolate. Those are all raw ingredients, and you get delicious chocolate. And then dates. You want to put dates, but look out for the video we did on raw chocolate. I love the raw chocolate. It's delicious, and yeah, completely raw food. It's full of nutrients. Chocolate that is actually good for you. Most people don't realize you can do that. So how to start? Well, start by adding salads to your meal, like I mentioned earlier. So if you had like a risotto, you could just add a fresh green salad on the side. That's not too hard to do. That's really within most people's reach, having a raw salad. Just leafy salad, put some other vegetables in there, and just add that in slowly to your lunch or to your dinner. Breakfast is a great way to start having raw food smoothies. Smoothies are easy to assimilate into your diet. Most people are pretty fond of smoothies, and you can make some great raw food smoothies. So you can use fresh fruit, you can use nut milk. Chia seeds are fantastic in smoothies. Spirulina is not the nicest flavor in a smoothie, I'll be totally honest. You might want to have spirulina on its own, dissolved in water, and just knock it back. That's how I go about it, because it's got a pretty strong flavor, spirulina, and if you put it in like more of a milky, fruity smoothie, it's going to come out pretty nasty. I'll be totally honest with you. I've tried it. So swap any sugar you have for raw agave or coconut sugar. Sugar's nasty. I'll just say it straight out. Be careful of how much sugar you're putting in your diet. I know it's hard to get rid of sugar completely. I haven't got rid of sugar out of my diet completely. My wife pretty much has. I just can't seem to do it. But I've dramatically removed a lot of the sugar. Refined sugar is terrible. There's nothing good in that, and it's actually bad. So you've got to be careful, how much of this stuff you're putting in your body, because it is no way good for you, and it's detrimental. So you've got to be careful. Replace sugar with raw agave. We sell that at Life Foods. You can have a look on the store if you want us to post it out to you. Or coconut sugar. These are better forms of sweetener than just refined white sugar. Drink raw vegetable juices. Juices are fantastic. We're going to do another video dedicated solely to juicing, because I think it's important to do that. But juicing is absolutely one of the best ways to get nutrients into your body from raw vegetables. You want to get a juicer though. I'll just say this now. Get a juicer. You don't want to get a juicer that cuts the food. Like you can buy those juicers with really sharp blades that spin around, and it literally just mulches up the vegetables. They're not the best kind. The best kind are the ones that push the vegetables through and squeeze them, and then they sort of squeeze out all their nutrients. That's a better way to get the most out of the vegetables. Get a juicer and try and have a juice, maybe just a couple a week. Start with a couple a week. Trying to do a juice every day can be hard. But get into the routine of juicing. It's just have a glass of raw vegetable juice, and that is absolutely jam-packed with nutrients for your body. When you drink that stuff, the raw vegetable juice, it hits your stomach, and then it gets absorbed exceptionally quickly through your intestines, because it's so easy for the body to to use it because it's in a very simple form. It's not a hard thing to digest, and it can just get, and it basically just floods those cells, the billions of cells in your body. It just floods them with nutrients by juicing. I just can't say enough of how important juicing is if you want to get raw food. And juicing is easy. Just have one juice a day, and then you're getting that's a fantastic start if you can do that, or just a couple a week. So most raw food is eat around 75% raw and experience a huge increase in health and vitality, but even 50% is a vast increase in your health. And I would say, look, if you're just starting out and you never really understood how important raw food is in its raw natural state when it's not fried and cooked and damaged and changed, 50% is a big ask. Just try a little bit each day to add it in, and just have, over time have a goal to aim for 20%. Or 25%, and just work it that way. But definitely try and at least start adding in some more raw foods into your diet. Okay, so you can also eat things like legumes, nuts and seeds are raw in their raw form. You can sprout them as well. And you can dehydrate. Dehydration is a great way. All these things maintain the enzymes. You're not damaging food with enzymes. Dehydrators are really good. They're easy to use. If you don't have a dehydrator, you can just use an oven and have it on the lowest temperature and have the door open a little bit. That'll dry out the food. But drying things out with a dehydrator you can get slightly different textures of food. You can create biscuits and crackers and things like that. We've made crackers before with all sorts of seeds. You can sort of get seeds like linseed. We make crackers out of linseed crackers with seeds using a dehydrator. There's lots of, you can make chips. You can slice up really fine slices. I'm just thinking of kumara. We use kumara and we slice up kumara really finely, put it in a dehydrator, and you can make kumara chips. Beetroot, you make beetroot chips as well in a dehydrator. Just real thin slices of beetroot, put them in a dehydrator, and then you've got yourself a little snack that's raw food and exceptionally good for you. But you can make things like chips and that in a dehydrator. So like I said, dehydrator, juicer, you can use a blender as well to create smoothies and stuff like that. So be sure to eat foods that are rich in calcium, iron, vitamin B12, which people eating a mainly vegetarian diet can often become deficient in. So you want to be careful and smart about what you're doing, and it always pays to see a doctor and tell if you're going to do radical changes to anything to do with your health. Go and talk to a doctor and just say, look, this is what I'm going to be doing. Am I still getting a balanced diet? That's just wisdom. But the whole point is that you just want to introduce more raw foods. Is what we're trying to say in this video. So finally, people on raw food diets report their bodies become more alkaline, so they have less illnesses. Well, the body really, a lot of people who eat processed foods, or just not even highly processed, I'm not talking about takeaways all the time, but just foods that are really not organic, for one, it's not great, but really highly cooked and fried and really bad oils, those sort of diets, it can cause your body to become quite acidic. Which is not great, because the more acidic your body is, it's an environment that's much easier for disease to develop. So if you can push your body away from the acidity and more alkaline, which is what raw food will do, and having things like chlorella and spirulina and anything raw, that'll make your body become more alkaline and less susceptible to illnesses and things like that. Now, I'm not saying that if you eat raw completely, you're never going to get sick ever. I'm not going to make a wild statement like that, but there is some definite massive benefits from eating raw. Increase energy levels. People report you need less sleep. I can definitely identify with that, and my wife as well. It's just easier on the body to get the food in, which makes it easier for the body to recover. Better clarity of mind and increased ability to focus. Skin becomes clearer. That's definitely something I can personally say I've experienced. People experience weight loss. Again, that's something I can say I've experienced myself. And they enjoy true flavors of nature's food without all the artificial flavorings and things that aren't so great for you. Now, obviously, each person's different, and like I said, make sure before you do anything drastic, go and see a doctor and tell them what you're going to do. But these is what some people report have happened to them when they eat more raw foods. So I can't blanket say that you'll experience all of these things by any means, but some people have reported these, and I can testify that I have, and my wife also. So that's all for this video on raw food. I hope you found it useful and interesting. I encourage you to do more research on raw food. There's a lot of great information out there on YouTube, on a lot of websites that you can go and visit. and just learn a little bit more about raw food, and maybe consider introducing, a little bit of more raw food into your meals, because it makes a huge difference. And, it's a really important part of health. So if you want to check out any of our health foods we sell, obviously on at the store at lifefoods.co.nz, and also we've got a Facebook page, facebook.com/lifefoods. We're always updating our Facebook page with little tips and things that we learn about healthy food and healthy eating that we want to share with that community, because we're big on creating a community at Life Foods, because we want people to be healthy, and we continually want to be healthier ourselves. And more stuff that we research, which we're constantly doing, we update it on the Facebook page, and also on the Life Foods blog, which you can find at lifefoods.co.nz/blog. So that's all for this update. Hope you found it helpful. Until next time, thanks for listening. Bye for now.